Nice catch.
This little drone is the new DJI Neo 2, the second generation model. I've been testing it for a while now, and today you're going to find out what it's really capable of, as I've been flying the crap out of it in my father's backyard. If you remember the original Neo, it was simple, it was safe, and it was almost indestructible. You could bump it into almost anything and it would still keep flying. But it had its limits: no obstacle avoidance, basic stabilization, and tracking wasn't always that fast. With the Neo 2, DJI clearly wanted to fix all that and make it even more fun to fly. Here's just a short recap of what's new. Full omnidirectional obstacle sensing, faster ActiveTrack up to 12 meters per second, a dual axis gimbal with digital stabilization, and a brighter f2.2 aperture for better low light shots. The new gesture control, the updated selfie shot mode, and a built-in screen with mode buttons. So you can continue to fly it controller free. It shoots 4K at 100 FPS and has 49 gigabytes of internal storage, and now supports 80 megabit of maximum video bandwidth. And of course it keeps its lightweight frame and propeller guards. The top section can still be removed for better airflow, and yes, you can still launch it from your palm. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk price. The original Neo Fly More combo that came in at $349, while the new Neo 2 comes in at $409. So that's around 60 euro to 65 US dollars to get all the upgrade. In this video, I will show you how this feature works in real life and not just on paper. I'll compare it directly to the original Neo, and I've tested under equal conditions.
Come on!
Tracking, stability, photo and video quality, so you can see if these extra 60 euros are worth it. Before we head out, this one is going to be a longer one. There's a lot to cover. So buckle up. And don't worry, I've added timestamps in the description so you can jump to the section that you're most interested in. Alright, let's take the new DJI Neo 2 for a spin. I've been flying this drone for the last few days, and now I'm starting to get a feel for what it can do and what it can't do. So I'll kick off this test with a palm takeoff here from the terrace, and then I will we're inside this closed terrace with glass everywhere. So I will of course open the door, and then I will let the drone follow me into the garden, and then I will show you some of the possibilities that you can do with this drone without any controls attached. So when the Neo 2 is fired up, you can see the current state in this small display that is here in the front. And right now it says that it's in follow mode. It follows from the rear, it stays close, and the elevation is flat. So the way that I initiate this is I just press the button here on the side, and then let the drone face me.
Right, follow, 3, 2, 1.
And then off it goes. Then it put itself into position. Then I grab the camera here. So, see what it's doing? So we open the door here. I've tried it a few times, so I know that the door needs to go fully open for me to be able to get it through. So see what it's doing here. So now it's navigating around these obstacles. So I'll just show you how to land it. So just go here, stretch out my palm, so, like this. So that's very, very easy. And as you saw the buttons here on the side, there were more than one. There was one that activates the drone, and then there's these rockers. And the rockers, you use those
Selfie shot, droney,
to switch between the different modes that the drone can operate.
follow, selfie shot.
So let's just do a selfie shot, and I do that by putting the drone here in front of me, and then I press the button here.
High angle and close up, selfie shot, 3, 2, 1.
So, let's put the ActiveTrack to a test, because there's actually a lot of stuff you can do with this drone as it is right now. So if I put it back in follow, you can see that I can actually operate it from different directions. I can do close, I can do flat, So let's just change the setup here. I still wanted to go from the rear, but let's just put it low and then give it a little bit more distance.
Follow. 3, 2, 1.
So then it's moving a little bit away from me and going low. So right now I can pick up the camera here and it should probably position itself behind me. So I'll just move. See what it's doing? Yeah, it's sitting there very nicely. And then it's following along pretty nicely. This is our work table from today. See, it's very, very agile actually. Tracking is also faster and more precise. The first Neo that struggled to keep up, but the Neo 2 can now track up to 12 meters per second, and it holds subjects much better. Later in this video you will see me try to outrun both drones at the same time. And now, finally, full omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. Something the first Neo lacked completely. Goes behind me. It's actually pretty aware what it is that's going on here. I'm trying to go in here. This is a bit nasty place. See? See? Trust the technology. The original Neo had no obstacle avoidance, and while people were really worried that it would crash into all sorts of stuff, it actually handled the obstacles quite well. And because it was super light, only 130 grams, it was almost impossible to break. Let's just change it so it maybe goes from the side. So left, that's correct. So. Let's see if it can figure out to go to the other side. Yeah, it actually goes to the other side, so it knows that it's left. That's pretty nice. This is the Neo 2, and right now we used it without any form of control. So this is just the functionality that you have on the drone, and you can shift between the different modes. We have follow, we have the selfie shot, we have the drone, we have the circle. Rocket. We have the rocket, follow. And we have the follow. If you look at the drone, you can see that it's very well protected with these gimbal guards, which can actually be removed if you want to. So see, I can remove it, so they are basically free, they are exposed. It's only the top part that you can expose, as this one is removable. Which is appreciated if you have to change the props. You need to use the screwdriver to change these props if you somehow damage them. Obstacle avoidance on this drone is pretty good. There's like a LiDAR sensor here in the front, and there are protruding cameras here, both on the top and on the base, that will make sure that the drone is well protected when it zips around. And trust me, it's going to be zipping around. The camera, that is the same sensor as we had on the previous model. But as you can see, right now it is put on a 2-axis stabilized gimbal. Instead of relying 100% on digital stabilization, we now have extra gimbal movements to help stabilize the footage. So I would expect, even though it's the same sensor, that we will have better quality images out of this one than we had on the previous one. Stabilization, that was another story. It only had a 1-axis gimbal and relied heavily on digital stabilization. So the footage created with this one was not always really good, as you would see in this video, lacking a lot of details with artifacts and stuff being introduced, especially on the fast motion and low light. But just to show you the stabilization, so see this axis, both are doing fine. And if I do this, you can see it's only the Neo 2 that stays level. So that's definitely going to make a difference. And this one is f2.8, where this one is 2.2. So this should be better in low light as well. What that actually means, let's test that out in a real life scenario. It's still a C0 drone, so it's still safe in terms of regulation. It's 160 grams, where the other one, the old one, the Neo 1, that was only I believe 130 grams. Maybe you can't see it, but there's the C0 label here on the drone. So you can see they are very, very similar. The Neo 2 is slightly bigger than the Neo 1. And as you will see a little bit later, it's also way more powerful in terms of flying. What are the other differences? Yeah, the battery goes on top on the Neo 2. It goes on the base on the Neo 1. The prop design is different, even though there are a lot of extra functionality added to the drone with the onboard
one set.
ways of controlling it. You can use your smartphone. So as you can see now on the phone, you have the live camera feed here. Goes in, you have the manual control and all the stuff that we know from the previous model. But if I open the menu, you can see there's a bucket load of more stuff here available. You are getting so much functionality that you can't believe it.
Gesture mode, that's new too. And that's part of the spotlight mode.
So I will just keep it here.
1.
Yeah, but if you see, there is a nice button here that's called gesture control. So now gesture control is disabled, and this is an awesome feature that I'm gonna show you now. If I enable that, and I have started the video, so what I can do now is I can actually control the drone. Super intuitive. You just put up your hand like this, and then the drone confirms with a blue blink. And see, now I can move it to each side. Move it up, move it down, move it up, move it down, to the left, to the right. And you know what? It even keeps the distance if I move away here. See? Or what if I want to change the distance to me? I just put up two hands and then it double blinks and confirms. So if I do this, it comes closer. If I do this, it moves away. So. And it's amazing how intuitive, easy it is to use it. So I can just walk and film. Maybe it's a little bit stupid that I have my hand up here, but at least you can use it to put it in position. So that is a really, really awesome way to control it.
Spotlight is unfortunately not available default on the drone when you fire it up for the first time. You can use the app to customize what flight mode should be available on the drone when you're using it in controller-free mode.
There are a ton of settings in here that we can play around with. And most of them we know from previously. There's the drone circle, the rocket, there's different optimized modes for the follow mode if you do cycling or skiing. So I guess the parameters are optimized for that. There's more, there's also helix and boomerang and all the traditional quick shots that we know more or less. But there's one that we can try out now, and that's the Dolly zoom. And that is also called the Vertigo. So if I just put myself here and I enable that.
3, 2, 1.
What you will see now is that it backs away while it zooms in. Then it creates like a stunning effect. You can see the boat behind me, that gets bigger. That's called the Dolly zoom or the Vertigo effect. That has been used by Hollywood for a long time, and it's actually quite difficult to do if you're going to do it manually, at least to get it smooth. So it's really, really nice that they put this one in here. Just to show you the follow mode, see that it is actually pretty advanced. So see, I have different ways of positioning the drone here. That's a lot similar to what we know from the traditional drones. So we can do all that stuff. And the most amazing part is, let's put it in the front here. So now it's in the front. And I can go low. Let's go low. So. And I can go medium. Jump. So if I just go here, see that it stays in front of me. And then if I decide to go this way, see, it will actually shift the position and go in front of me again. It stays in the back. Why is it staying in the back? Oh, that's because we...
Aircraft landing automatically.
Okay, so let's just go and swap the battery for another one. Then you just grab here on the side and then you pull out the battery like that. And then I have this 3-hub charger where the batteries are in, and they are fairly fast at charging. So you just pull out one of those, drop it in like that. And it's very nice that I have the 3 LEDs on the top of each battery. So I could basically, before I dropped it in, check the charge, if that is okay. So now I put it in. So if I move down here, I say that right now it's trying to keep me on the side. We know historically that DJI has had a problem following people from the front. So let's just let it stay there, and we can change the position so it's going a little bit higher, so it's flat. So if I move around now, it will probably, hopefully, also move around. So it knows the position of me. So that's nice. So look at that. It's pretty aware of its surroundings, yeah. So if I put it here on the side, and it is pretty agile. At least I can't outrun it. I know there's some limitations if you're using the smartphone and the distance that you can get out, but for that we have the controller, which will help us gain a little bit more distance. But all the fun stuff that's inside this app will be used in close proximity with the drone, more or less. At least that's my take on this. So the phone, that will do a really, really good job in comparison with the Neo 2. No doubt about that. So you're saying, yeah, Henrik, I could do a lot of fun stuff with the original one as well. So why don't we do a comparison here? We can use some of the QuickShot modes that are available on both drones. We can use that to make sure that they are performing the same task. So let's just do that. 2 meter flat, 2 meter flat for both of them. And I make sure that I press the buttons at the same time.
2 meters. Circle. 3, 2, 1.
So I know they are put in 4K 30, both of them. So it doesn't get more equal than that.
Side by side, the Neo 1 looks slightly overexposed and lacks some saturation and contrast.
So
Next, the rocket mode, a straight top-down shot.
nice catch. That makes it a lot easier. I dropped this a few times now, and that's because it's not very ideal that the button is up here.
4 meters. Rocket. 3, 2, 1.
So this time, they're separated a little bit more. No. Oh yeah, this one is perfect.
First the Neo 2, then back to the Neo 1, flying simultaneously. Here the difference is smaller, but if we zoom in to 400%, you can still see that the Neo 2 image comes out on top with more details.
And one thing that is you've probably seen on the images is that these two drones are different. The way that the Neo 2 is connecting is that it needs this transmitter module, and that one goes in the back of the drone, and it's being mounted with the Phillips screws like this, so they want to make sure that it stays in place. I am actually not a big fan that most or more or less your prop changing and mounting the module depends on that you have this screwdriver laying around somewhere. I don't like that, but okay, that's okay for now.
On the original Neo, the wireless module that was built in, so no external module was needed. With Neo 2, DJI decided to make it modular, taking the hardware, pulling it into this little transceiver module that slides into the USB-C port in the back. That keeps the drone light for beginners that just wants to use the drone by itself, the app, or even gestures. But to use the RC N3, the goggles N3 or the motion controller 3, you need the module to be installed. I could be a little bit worried that this module get damaged. It's not a problem if you're just using the drone in close proximity with either the app or the gestures or the drone by itself, because then the module is not needed. But if you're flying around and if you decide to switch it into sport mode, there's no protection of the drone, which basically means that if you ram it into something, it will hit and you will probably destroy it. It'll be interesting to see how well this part will hold up if it's put to that kind of abuse. That was something that was not an issue with the original one. The Osmo Nano that ran out of juice. So this one is charging now, and then I can use it a little bit later to do the final test. So what I can do now is I can show you the functionality of the remote. And then we're gonna take this wire out and position our phone. We position that in the holder here on top. This is how we did it in the old days. The sticks, they are hidden here in the base. We just mount those. We launched the DJI Fly app. So now I can fly around here. So I get a lot more distance. And you will get the distance that you're used to with these types of drones. First, we are looking at the Neo 2 recorded in 4K 30 frames per second, shot in neutral exposure. Then I'm trying to reproduce more or less the same clip with the original Neo, also in neutral exposure. It's pretty clear looking at the footage that the exposure looks different, and the image from the Neo 1 suffers a bit more from digital stabilization. Let's put them side by side, and that makes the difference even clearer. With a 400% magnification, you can see that the Neo 2 maintains a lot more details in the image. The tree lines and the fine edges just hold up better overall. Now let's look at a low light scenario. I'm flying next to the forest so you can really see how each drone handles the shadows. First, the Neo 2 recordings, then the Neo 1. Again, the exposure seems a bit off on the original Neo. We put them side by side and it becomes much clearer. Neo 2 preserves a lot more details in the shadow. If we freeze the frame and zoom into 400%, you can really see how much more texture and contrast the Neo 2 manages to keep. Now let's move on to a photo comparison. Here's the first shot. This one is from the Neo 2, 12 megapixels, neutral exposure. Then we switch to the original Neo. Right away you can tell the saturation is slightly off and overall the image looks a bit flatter. Putting them side by side, the Neo 2 clearly has richer color and better contrast and just more details across the image. If we decide to zoom into 400%, you will see the Neo 1 tends to mush out the fine details, while the Neo 2 keeps them crisp and defined. I also grabbed a few extra shots in early morning just to see the difference in the images. Here's the Neo 2, and now switching to the Neo 1. Again, there is a noticeable boost in saturation on the Neo 2. Let's put them side by side. The Neo 2 image looks more vivid and balanced, while the Neo 1 still appears softer. Zooming into 400% confirms the same pattern. Neo 2 keeps a lot more details, likely because the digital stabilization is not as aggressive as it is on the original Neo. It's pretty clear to me at this point that DJI has decided to crank up the saturation a bit on the images for the Neo 2. Only JPEGs are available. Still no RAW options. The Neo 2's wider 2.2 aperture and improved digital processing and the 2-axis stabilized gimbal makes a clear visual difference between these two models in every shot. The original Neo didn't have a really dedicated slow motion function. It shoots 1080p 60 FPS, but you had to slow it down manually in post. The Neo 2 on the other hand, that can shoot 4K at 100 FPS. And the footage plays back in slow motion directly off the drone. That said, 100 FPS is not the best match for a 30 FPS timeline, since the frames don't divide evenly. But if you're editing in 25 or 50 FPS, you definitely get smoother results. I had positioned the drone around 200 meters from the takeoff point in a 50 meter altitude. And even though the wind was pretty light the day that I recorded this, it was actually quite hard to keep the original Neo steady at that height. It's also a lot more jumpier. With the Neo 2, it was a completely different story. It feels way more powerful, way more responsive, and much easier to control. Wow. This is fast, man. The original Neo is drifting a little bit around, and I had to do corrections all the time to keep it on path. You can see it clearly in the footage too, where Neo 2 holds its position much better and reacts faster to small corrections, and even if the wind picked up a little bit. So if you have flown the first Neo using the controller, you would definitely feel a difference. Even without the controller, the Neo 2 feels way more responsive. You can really feel the difference right away.
And also I can show you, there was a lot of concerns with the previous model that it couldn't fly over water. And you can see up there in the top, there's this gap that's on the inlet for sarcoping. I did that yesterday where I flew inside the inlet just to show you that you can fly over water. So that's definitely a possibility.
It can also shoot vertical video, but it's cropped to 2.7K. But it's still a lot more than the 1080p that you got out of the original Neo. There's been an increase from 50 to 80 megabit per second in the maximum video bandwidth. The same goes from the internal storage that goes from 22 gigabyte to now 49 gigabyte. And there's still no option to add an external SD card.
If we take a closer look at the app, you would see that it is fairly simple. There's not as many options available as we found in when we were using the mobile phone directly. So if we open the menu here, you can see that under video, there's only two options available. That's the normal video mode, as well as a slow motion option that will give us 4K 100 FPS. And under photo, the first thing to notice is that there's no raw options available. You can only shoot photos in JPEG and the maximum resolution of 12 megapixel, which is similar to what we could do with the previous model. There's also not as many options to shoot different types of JPEGs. You can only do like a single photo, or you can do bursts, where it does a multiple series of photos. Like by the press of one button, you can take 5 images in a snap. But apart from that, there's not that many options. There's also time shots, and then you have all the quick shots, which we can't demo when we are on the ground, but that's also fully covered in the video. So apart from that, there's not that many options. It's a very, very simple app. It would have been nice to have more options here. That will be for sure, but I'm not really sure that you needed that many options as you have on the app, because most of that will be carried out in close proximity to you. So in that case, you can, it's more easy for you just to use the mobile phone app. But what about tracking? Let's look at that outside. I did say that the things that you could do with this app was quite limited, but you do have the possibility to do the tracking, all the ActiveTrack, the point of interest, and the spotlight.
While the original Neo was limited to only tracking of people or persons using both the app and the controller, the Neo 2 can now, at least what I've been testing, track a car. So I would expect it will work for bikes and even pets as well, using the controller. But only if you use the controller. Next up, noise levels. I will keep both drones hovering approximately the same distance from the microphone. Let's start with Neo 2. And continue with the original Neo. The original Neo was not considered quiet. To me, the Neo 2 with the new prop design sounds less pitched and general more pleasant. Let's shift back and forward for your evaluation. What do you think?
So now we tried to fly it without any controls. We have used the phone. We have used the controller here to try and fly a little bit further away. The way that this works best. Yeah, we also tried the gestures. So that's 4 ways of controlling the drone. But it is also possible to use the Motion Controller 3 as well as the Goggles 3 to fly this setup. So that's what we're going to try now.
If you fly in FPV mode, the transceiver module needs to be attached. In sport mode, where it gets really, really fun, all the sensors, they are disabled. So be aware, because it won't stop if you hit something.
With a flat surface, so we can lift off. So this is a sport mode. What? Ah, no obstacle avoidance, just so you know. Man, it's fast. Yeah, I don't know if... This is just the normal mode, where we have the obstacle avoidance. See what... See, it's... yeah. You can't rip it through there. Switch it into sport mode. See. But then it will also, then if I fly into something, it will destroy it. So, but I can do a separate video about this. The goggles, N3 and the motion controller 3. That's a fun combination. There's no doubt about that. I really like the strategy that DJI has put forward here. Is that you buy a drone that's fairly cheap, and then you can build onto the same ecosystem, adding stuff to it over time. So that's nice. I think it's a nice product. Let's just see here up here what we else have. We have head tracking. We have the easy Acro. I think that could be nice to try that, because the original one that had a little bit of an issue when it had to do the easy Acro modes. So it kind of stops when you got to do this. Yeah, it still has a problem completing these turns without slowing down. Yeah. So let's do the slider. The 180-degree drift here. Hello? Let me know if you want me to cover this in a separate video around these goggles, but at least it seems that they are working, and it's very, very nice.
In case you're wondering, can I fly the Neo 2 in manual mode with the dedicated controller? I have seen videos out there that show that this might be possible, but this is not something that I use myself, so I can't really confirm it. Maybe you know, write it in the comments below.
I like the little display here in the front. I would say it's fairly exposed. If it rams into something. But of course it's also where it has the maximum protection, and that is the LiDAR sensor here on the side here. This is a fun product. I think a lot of people will be happy with this. And as I said, flying it with the controller, it's a huge difference between these two. And by now you should also have an idea about the difference in the footage. So let's finish off this test with a little race back to the house, where I put both the Neo and the Neo 2 up to track me, and then I will film it along the way. So medium rear flat. So at least we have a little bit of separation. I know that from my test yesterday, where the original Neo was trying to kill the new one several times. So this is rear, medium, flat. So let's go. See what happens. They are following along very nicely. Let's make it a little bit difficult here. See what happens here. So now it's doing something really weird. Hey, look at this. That's from the neighbor. So let's see if I can outrun them. Come on! They're still keeping up. Yeah. Well done, my friends.
So if you're still with me, would you agree that this is a pretty awesome product? Maybe you have some questions that you have been thinking about, you want to ask about this while watching the video. So make sure to drop them below, and I will make sure to try and answer them as fast as I can. If you're thinking about picking up one for yourself, then there's of course purchase links in the description below. But I will, as always, encourage you to go and see some of the other reviews that are put out there before you make your decision, as this product was shipped to me by DJI for my evaluation. But of course, I would appreciate that you use one of my links, as it helps support the channel and keep me going producing videos like this. While you're down there, then consider joining my Drone Like a Pro insider list. It's the easiest way to stay up to date about drone releases, flying tips, and how to turn your drone into a profitable side business. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then feel free to give it a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.